For me, this is because we even talked about it's about Fallout 4. It's a Fallout 4 topic.
I've talked about it a lot.
Has anyone else talked about it?
Not on podcast.
No.
Okay.
I kind of got lost and stuck at level 6 or something.
You had to restart.
It's easy to
I
get
had
lost.
to restart and then got demotivated.
I remember you saying in like the chat, like, I'm completely ratted out, and I've got no radaways. I'm like, I've got 128.
I've never used one. I'm fine. My topic is not. I suppose we're going to get on to how do you feel about Fallout 4, but it's why there was such a divide on the internet in terms of how they scored Fallout 4. And my example here, I always come back to Metacritic, even though it's poisonous to games. It is the cumulative score, so it should essentially be the average score. It should be the score. The critic score, and it's based on 34 websites, was 84 out of 100. Based on 6,201 user ratings, the score was 5.4 out of 10. So 84 out of 100 and 54 out of 100.
Yeah.
And why you think there was such a difference in the score? Because essentially there should be parity across the board. You know that you've got a good review score if the user score is the same as the critical score. That's what you're aiming for, I'm sure. But there's such a massive difference.
When I read a few of the reviews, critics and user, and it seemed that the users were focusing on what had been taken out, what was missing in the graphics, and the critics were focusing on what had been put in and all the new stuff. And that just, you can't really compare the two. Yes, things have been taken out and yes, things have been added, but I suppose it's all down to opinion on whether or not you actually like what's not there anymore.
I wasn't aware there was such a divide in opinions on Fallout 4, and I think it just comes down to false expectations and people expecting more from the game than what they got said. But recently, I played New Vegas, I replayed it, finished it literally just before Fallout 4 came in. And Fallout 4, I wanted it to be an upgraded version of Fallout 3. I didn't want anything revolutionary, I didn't want anything to significantly change. I wanted better gunplay. The graphics could be slightly better, they could have been exactly the same and I probably wouldn't have cared. And I got that. I was very fortunate in that I haven't encountered many bugs. I'm probably 100 hours in and I've encountered 2 bugs in the entire game. One was where a person was sitting on a dining chair and he was just vibrating into the wall, and another one was a torso was floating.
That wasn't a bug.
You don't know what happens after the...
That was just Muhammad Ali before he passed. So sorry.
It's better than Matt's ball walk joke.
Can you not drinking this week?
On the hard stuff.
My experience with Fallout 4 was positive because it delivered exactly what I wanted it to deliver. A lot of people they can get rolled up about the graphics, but I mean, come on, behave. I can play a game from the 90s that looks awful and it's still going to be a phenomenal game. What were they expecting? They said straight away, we're using the same engine that we built Skyrim with. So I don't know why people were expecting. Even then, graphically, it looks better than Skyrim did. They improved it. They did make improvements, but they weren't using a next gen engine because they started building it when Skyrim came out. And it's the mods. The mods are going to make that game. The biggest thing they've added to Fallout 4 is the mod kit. The mods are available on Xbox. So I'm assuming they're probably available on PlayStation as well. And mods are what make them. They make Bethesda's games. So Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, the mods completely changed the experience. And the fact that they've made those available now, that to me earns you the highest score because the graphical enhancements, the weapon enhancements, the weapons, the missions, the characters, the sort of scopes of the world. Some people, like Skyrim, you can get Oblivion modded into that game. And it's those kind of mods that make that game now. It being as buggy as it was when it was released, I do disagree with, but I disagree on that with everything because if a game is delivered on PlayStation 1 with bugs, well, they were fucked but updates didn't release. Day one patches didn't exist. Yeah. I would rather have a polished game that I wait for because I don't really care about playing it on day release than getting it sooner and then it being an unplayable game.
I think it's one of the reasons why they were given such a favourable review score. Is that was it at E3 or something when the people are thinking what have Bethesda been up to? Like, we haven't heard from them for a while, and they said, oh, by the way, Fallout 4, this is your release date's in like 2 months, whatever. And everyone just minds exploded, because normally you get like with The Division, where 4 years ago they announced they were making it, and now we're still waiting until probably be delayed. We've already delayed the Xbox beta by 3 months. Uncharted 4, they announced it ages ago. I listened to an interview where they said, are you going to delay the game? And they said emphatically no, and the following day they delayed it by 2 months.
I feel like that's good though, because like if they delay something, there's nothing you can do. If they release it and it's fucked, you can be pissed.
It's the lesser of two evils, right?
Yeah.
It is.
Fallout 4's problem was they announced that date and said we're coming out. They wanted to get to the Christmas sales, but they released it the same year as Witcher.
Yeah.
And because of Witcher, they didn't win anything.
And Metal Gear at the same time as well.
Yeah.
These fantastic games.
They could have spent 6 months, 8 months refining the game, getting out these game-ending bugs that I haven't experienced, but apparently everyone else has.
Yeah.
Refined the game and made it the RPG of 2016, rather than have it compete with
the RPG of 2016.
I think
a lot of the reviews that I read, they compare Fallout to The Witcher and Metal Gear Solid graphically. They shouldn't. No.
People are very simple-minded though. But like going back to what was your point just now? I had something and I've forgotten it.
Oh, I said like people. Like delaying a game.
Oh, yeah, delaying a game.
Is okay because there's nothing you can do about it.
Unless it's Duke Nukem. That game was the epitome of disappointment for me, because they announced it like 10 years before they made it.
Did you pre-order it back then?
No, I didn't pre-order it.
No.
No.
Receipts and they've honoured them.
And honestly, like I waited so long for this game. I thought Duke Nukem remake, it's going to be badass. They've spent 10 years developing it or whatever it was, and they kept pushing it back. I was like, oh, finally release date, got it. Oh, what a piece of shit this game is.
It's like I remember downloading the beta for it when it came out, and it was like, for a beta, this is really cool. This is good. I can draw on this little whiteboard, and I can have a pee and wash my hands. Yeah. It's amazing. And then the game came out, and it was exactly the same as the beta. They hadn't done anything to change it. It was just like, what the fuck?
You just thought, what have they done with this game?
I waited till it was like £5 in cash generated. I still never finished it.
But Fallout for me, I've got my gripes with Fallout, but I think a lot of the user review scores probably do come. I know I've gone about being Master Race and PC and all that, but I think it's purely just a console port, and a lot of the moaning is from the PC fanboy crew, because I've played it on console at a friend's and it played like a dream. Fantastic. When you saved the game, you could load the game back up again. When I save the game and load the game back up again, it just gives me a loading screen forever. And if anyone knows how to fix that, because I don't really want to start from 8 hours ago again, then let me know. That was my biggest gripe with it. Other than that, as a PC fanboy myself, I played it, experienced no bugs except for the save issue. Unfortunately, that's quite catastrophic.
I think it's all been fixed now.
Well, I tried it again the other day and it didn't work, so I'm probably going to have to start again. So play through that.
The save's broken.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to have to do that. But
the only thing I didn't like about Fallout 4 was the taking away the karma system.
The karma, yeah.
Fallout 3, I quite like.
I actually forgot about that.
Well, to be honest with you, so did I, until about sort of like 20 hours in, and I was like, hang on a second, I'm neither good or bad here. Like, none of these decisions...
My choices are making no sense!
Well, I think that was one of the gripes that I've seen there, is that none of your actual decisions
affect anything.
Really mean anything.
Yeah. You could be sarcastic.
Yeah, you could be sarcastic to someone, and it's not really going to affect your relationship with them.
Yeah. If it gives them a negative answer, you just speak to them again and give them the right answer.
A word of advice: when you're playing, if the sarcasm is an option, you have to press it. Like no other option is just ignore them.
It's so funny.
Press sarcasm, because the lines it comes out, and as you said, it doesn't negatively affect you in any way. The one thing I noticed as well was in your conversations, you tend to have they have general ones. So on the right, it's going to be a bad option. On the left, it'll be good. Top and bottom, neutral or whatever. But it'll come up persuade, intimidate, and these kind of things. No matter which one you select, the dialogue option is exactly the same. So if you press for I've persuaded someone, successfully persuaded, and their response is identical to if I didn't try persuade or fail persuade, they're going to say the exact same.
You might get something, haven't you?
Yeah, and I think that is the downside when you're going to record like 5 million hours of dialogue.
Yeah. It's the illusion of choice.
Yeah.
I think that's how you make a successful game, by the way. It's the illusion of choice.
Yeah.
Else you have to spend a hell of a lot of money. Looking at these review scores, I'm actually on the critic list at the moment. And the first 3-4 websites on this list I haven't heard of, which is then followed by IGN. And Brash Games gave it a 100 out of 100, which is pretty serious. And they said the graphics won't blow you away.
But how is it 100
But
out
it's
of 100?
100.
10 out of 10, but the graphics aren't great. What?
Yeah. I think that's... Even this one, Hooked Games, Fallout 4 does not live up to the expectations. But 100
Because
out of 100,
everybody's
100 out of 100.
expectations were up here.
Yeah.
So, out of the 34 websites that they go to, 27 of them were positive reviews, 7 of them were mixed, and 0 negative reviews. And if I just pop over to the user reviews, out of the 6,000 ratings, but only 2,073 user reviews, 1,005 of them were negative. And 772 were positive.
I think it's a lot of them. It was going to be there was such a hype around this game. There's a lot of people that got introduced to the Fallout franchise. So there was a lot of people. If I sit down in the living room and I play Fallout 4, all I will hear my brothers saying is like, "Wow, look at these graphics," or "Wow, Anne, have you cracked the PS1 out?" And you'll get these jokes. If they were to play this game, they'd sit there and be like, "What is this?" And it's because a lot of people saw the hype and they saw, well, this game must be amazing. They got it and then kind of looked at it and went, what is this? They didn't know what they were expecting, whereas followers of the franchise and people who have played the previous games, they know what to expect. Playing it and went, this is a phenomenal game, and absolutely fell in love with what they improved and built upon the last games. Whereas a lot of other people were buying it expecting this holy grail of apocalyptic first-person shooters, and it just wasn't what they thought it was going to be based on hype.
Yeah, that is exactly it. I mean, I don't know anybody that can go and pick a game based on a Metacritic review anyway, because they're all completely biased. I mean, that's perfectly, it's going to be subjective, but that's with all reviews. But just going on with that, 100 out of 100, but it was a bit pants with the graphics. How can you give something like a perfect review score, but have something negative to say about? It's the same happens with all the AAA games, though. I mean, absolutely everything. Like all the Call of Duty is the yearly release ones, and any AAA game that comes out always gets an awesome Metacritic review.
I love it when they're advertising Call of Duty, and they say, well, how many Call of Duties has there been now?
So
5 billion.
Okay, so this is the 5 billionth Call of Duty that's come out recently. And every single time it'll come up, the best one yet. I fucking hope so. Like
That's just to push you in there. Get you to buy the game. Maybe they've changed it this time.
The Telegraph, 5 stars, the best one yet. No shit! What have they spent all this money on? Like, have they just re-released Call of Duty 4? Because that was the best one yet.
Raptor Attack Podcast, episode 5. The loudest yet.
Peaking.
Oh man,
I love it. I think a lot of this comes down to the fact that just by saying that a game is a score out of 100 or a score out of 10 doesn't mean that my 7 is your 7 is your 7.
no.
There's definitely 7 is a very good score for a game in my opinion. Like some people will go, oh, I'll go in the shop, I've never heard of this game before, Google it. Oh, 7. Put it back. I'm 8.5's up. Not interested in this. 7 is a very good score.
That's me. Like 9's my cut-off point. Like, just leave the game be sub 9. I'm like, I haven't got time.
Thing is though, like if I see a game that's 10 out of 10,
I don't buy it.
Like it null and voids the entire system. Because it's the same when people go about girls. Oh yeah, she's a 10. It's like
It's a trap.
Exactly, but it completely null and voids everything because it's a rating system based on comparison. So if you've got a game that's 10 out of 10, there's no need for you to ever buy another game ever again because that is the perfect game.
That's the best game.
That is the best game that will ever be ever.
Yeah.
Mario Kart.
Viva Pinata.
Why do you need anything else? So as soon as I mean it's bullshit because Fallout got so many 10 out of 10 reviews and it's still a great game. Like you still want the game.
Yeah.
But in reality, when you put it next to other things, it's not a 10 out of 10. It's not a 10. It could be a 9. But it can't be a 10. Nothing can be a 10.
Except for Mario Kart.
Except for Mario Kart.
There's nothing I'd change about Mario Kart.
When you work for these game review sites and you're a publisher or a journalist or writer or whatever, you're doing it because you're a gamer and you're passionate about games. That's how they get started in this. So they are going to be people that jump on bandwagons, and like Grand Theft Auto is another example. Like, I'm pretty sure 4 and 5 both got 10 out of 10.
Hated it.
And 4 was absolutely diabolical.
I enjoyed 5.
5 was okay, but I got 20 hours in, got bored and stopped playing.
Yeah,
and it's
hated
like, why did this get a 10? Whereas I can play an indie game that's like £3 on Steam that consumes my life for bloody hell.
World of Goo. Oh.
Yeah, cost me £7 in the sale.
I made a game as well.
Castle Crashers.
Castle Crashers.
Oh,
Destroyed our
We
evening.
smashed 8 hours on that.
8 hours, we've smashed through it, yeah.
And we've got New Game Plus to do now.
Yeah.
I can't do the first level on my own.
I want to go back and play that Dungeon Defenders though.
Yeah, Dungeon Defenders is good,
I
man.
only got
That's
to
free
play
now on
it, play it for a short
Number
while.
2's free now on Steam.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's worth it as well.
We should LAN party that shit. And
Hell's
Gang
yeah.
Beasts.
Gang-based.
We still need to play Gang
Have you
Beasts.
experienced Gang Beasts?
I haven't experienced
Oh my
Put your arms in the air, like this.
And then kind of do
And then do this. You've now experienced Gang Beasts. We went to EGX a couple of months ago.
And played Gang Beasts.
And there was this little, it was like a PC, obviously in a box, TV. And there was just these little jelly-like figures running around the level.
I think they call them jelly beans, though.
Yeah, jelly beans. And there's like, I think it goes up to like 8 player, maybe more.
Yeah.
And you essentially, no one knows what the controls are. You play with the controller. No one knows what
We've
they do.
figured it out since.
No, I don't believe you.
I'm lying.
And you have the controller. No one knows what the buttons do. And the task is to throw the other jelly beans off cliffs and into manglers.
Nice. Oh wow, okay.
It's a beautiful game. It's beautiful.
That looks good.
But it's like right bumper is your right arm,
Yeah.
left bumper is your left arm. So you can grab somebody with your right arm. It's all ragdoll.
Yeah, it's ragdoll. It's like the physics engine's not really
Like
ragdoll.
press the right thing and it'll grab him, and then you tap the left bumper and it's like.
And Y is lift, so you can grab and lift them in the air, then run around and
It's starting to venture into esports now.
Yeah. I would pay to see it.
I want to create a team, and we will win, and we will become billionaires, and I will buy a Ferrari.
Take over the world.
Gang billionaires.
you won't be invited.
Imagine the injuries if they made a Gang Beasts VR.
Aren't they actually doing that? I think they're doing that. The beauty of the controls is that there's a crouch button, and me and Glenn sat there one night and we were kind of playing with it. I was like, I can do a front flip. He was like, no, you can't. And I crouched, grabbed the floor, jumped, so I did a handstand, then let go with his hands at the right time. And because you can headbutt now, like if you drop into someone to headbutt, you can combine that with like a front flip headbutt, and it's just instant knockout. And
It sounds like that.
Fantastic.
Have you seen that I Am Bread game?
yes,
No.
No.
It sounds like the same sort of controls as that.
Yeah,
where you
just
kind of like
each button grab something with
Yeah.
a different corner. And
different corner of the bread, you grab something, you got to get bread from this table to the toaster or something. And like, I watched.
Just to become toast.
I watched. What's his name? Someone streaming online. I can't remember his name now. Mr. Fruit. And he was playing it.
Yeah.
And oh my god, it just looks like the most infuriating game in the world. But
It's
I
next on my
think
list.
going back to what we were talking about there, like those sort of games can consume you more than a big release title like Fallout
Yeah.
4.
And plus, I am bread for a bread simulator. You could be like 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
Just
exactly, yeah.
I am bread while I'm playing this.
You're playing it, you're like,
No, you cannot give it 10 out of 10. That is reserved only for Mario Kart.
Actually, that's a good point. It says I am bread, but I'm clearly sitting here with a controller pretending to be bread. That's at minimum 1.6.
That is a 3. That is a
I'm
lie.
including
This
that
is false advertisement. I am not happy.
I am bread VR.
Yeah. The only game that can ever get a 10 out of 10 is if you are playing a person playing a game simulator. And you're like, well, it's captured what I'm supposed to do.
Wasn't there a film? Was it called Gamer or something like that? And it's got who's it got in it?
Gerard Butler.
And there's a kid that plays
It's kind of like
as Gerard Butler.
it was kind of like. Did you see Surrogates with Bruce Willis?
It rings a bell, yeah.
That was kind of like an iRobot kind of thing, but like they're all at home in these VR simulators, controlling their like sort of
Yeah, their person.
yeah.
So the Matrix.
Their avatar out there, kind of, yeah. And they knew what they were doing. It was just so that they wouldn't have to get into the world and get hurt. that kind of like what Gamer was. It was like
Yeah.
people were just living inside this like game, kind of like Second Life.
Yeah.
It wasn't a game though; it was other people. So it was people that were being controlled by the gamers. So it was also what's that Japanese Battle Royale?
Battle Royale.
Yeah. And because wasn't Gerard Butler like actually Gerard Butler?
I don't know.
He was being controlled by someone, I think.
Yeah, by a kid or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Then he was trying to get control of himself to escape because he needed so many. God, it was an awful
I can just remember the bad guy being Dexter.
Yeah, he
Was he?
I don't
remember that.
He was like the guy at the end and he fights Gerard Butler. And,
Yeah.
It was a good film though. I quite enjoyed it.
During Paris Games Week, they announced 50-something games for virtual reality for the PlayStation Virtual Reality. It was a big deal if you think about how many weeks there are in the year and there's going to be 50 of these things come out. The one that got the biggest hurrah was Job Simulator. And honestly, you go to these websites, they're not reviewing but not discussing things, and people who react to games, they're looking at this thing going, actually this is incredible. And you're sitting there and you've got like the PlayStation Move controls or whatever, and you can pick anything up on your desk and move it around, and I don't necessarily know if you have to do a job.
People are going to come home from work to then go to their imaginary work.
Yeah, that's what the VR thing looks like.
Simulator.
So you're sitting there.
That just looks like Surgeon Simulator without the blood.
Which makes it worse. Yeah.
Oh wow. 2 keys on your keyboard.
On and off.
See, if they make it so it's like Job Simulator, but really it's just like a stress release program, so you can pick your keyboard up and like go hit co-workers and stuff. Like it's actually like
Sounds good to me.
There is a game like that, isn't
you
there?
build your office space, you put in your co-workers, you put yourself in it, and then just like go around with a chainsaw. Then that I can see there being a market for
The zombies.
Yeah.
There was a game like
Throw
that. It
zombies
was
in
like a Flash player game on your browser, but it wasn't so much move with the Move controllers. It was like click on something and you will hit it. So like you can punch your computer screen, or like you can click on your keyboard and then drag it around with your cursor and then kind of smash it into your in and out.
Desktop Destroyer or something like that.
Something
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
It's like the Bethesda games where you can like hold in A and you can pick and lift objects up in the environment. So you can like hit people in the face with a bucket.
We'll put the bucket on there.
Yeah.
Take all that stuff.
And then steal everything.
What was the console game that came out not long ago and everything was ragdoll like, so you could like pick up stuff and just throw it, and it would kind of like
Fallout, does he?
Well, I didn't think you could pick up a lot of stuff on that.
It might Simulator.
In Fallout, it's if you can pick that item up and put it in your inventory, you can pick it up in the world.
Right. Okay.
Because
Well, I haven't managed to do
you
that.
can click the thumbstick as well, can't you? And it'll like actually just animate, like just lift the body.
I see. I haven't
lift the
been
item.
able to do that.
Yeah.
That could be a lot of fun.
Oh, you used to just like, you can drag like bodies around and stuff. It's like
See, that's what I'm talking about.
There you go,
It might have been something like Skyrim or Elder Scrolls Online that I played, and you can pick the apple up, and you can run along, and then just.
I think they've had it in all the games, haven't they, where you can just click on something and it just sort of like floats
I haven't
in front of you,
experienced it
like
before.
Jedi mind tricks.
the best thing about the Bethesda game is the line of sight for stealing. So in Skyrim, like you can pick up a bucket in a shop, put it on someone's head, and then it just comes up undetected. But another one is if you can't find if you want to steal an item. So if I want to steal a book, I could pick the book up, hold it up in front of their face, and then as soon as it comes up undetected, press A to steal, and the book disappears, and you're like, hello. Nobody sees you. Nobody sees.
I'm going to start a new character called Dynamo.
Now you see it happen. Well, it's gone.
Okay,
It's in my bag.
let's come back to the review score side of things and why we think there's such a difference.
Tangent alert.
Oh yeah, mega tangent. I'm not a big believer in review scores. Like I feel like if we do start doing something like that, at the bottom of the article it'll say, should you play this game, and there'll be a yes or a no. It's not like this is a 7, 8, 9 out of 10. It's should you play it? Yeah, probably should play this game.
I just think we should invent our own review system. This game receives 7 ostriches and 4 mince pies.
Out of cheese.
Make out of that what you wish. This is our opinion.
Yeah.
Well, that's essentially what reviews are for everything, isn't it? It's the same with films, really.
This game receives a pitchfork.
The only film review I will go with is IMDb. Because I think it's so legit. Like, the best film on IMDb is A Shawshank Redemption. Great film. But it's only got something
everything follows after.
But it's only got something like 8.7 or 9.2 or something. And that's the best film.
Yeah, I think again, it's user generated though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's all sort of like.
But again, I feel like that's legit. Like, if I'm going through Netflix or something, and I was like, oh, IMDb this, see what it's about, and it comes up 3.2 stars. I am not watching that shit.
Yeah.
Because IMDb says so.
If it's 6 and above, I tend to watch it.
Yeah, 6 and above is a really good score on IMDb.
I tend to find game reviews and film reviews, people will have their loyalties, so they know which reviews they trust. Like with me in film, I'm quite particular. My friend Daryl, he works for a company called Movie Maker, and they do film reviews and they go to the screens and things like this. And they recently released like a top 20 foreign films of the year. And I trust that because I trust his taste in film, so I know what I'm looking at. If they say this film's number one, I know I'm going to enjoy it. And I assume you get the same with game reviews. People will have their loyalties where they know they can trust a certain game site, or they're on the same page, because everyone's going to have opinions, and it's finding a review site that is more aligned with what you want from a game.
Well, it's the same with everything, isn't it? Yeah. Like there's game guide sites that people won't trust and people will trust. It's the same with everything. It's like you find something you like and you stick with it. Yeah. Like it's the same with any website. Like people like our podcast, they'll watch our podcast. Like
I think a good example is Colin and Greg from Kind of Funny, and if like a JRPG is coming out and Greg goes hate it, I'm looking at him and I know Greg, and I'm like, well, he doesn't play JRPGs, so why am I going to listen to him? Whereas Colin, who was a big Final Fantasy fan, if he comes out and says I hate it, I'm like, I'm not buying that game, because I know where his background comes from. And then with Greg, and he likes like Lego games, he likes stupid Vita games and stuff. I think he's playing one called Taco Master at the moment, where you're making tacos. And honestly, every live stream he did or every show he did, he's sitting there and playing his Vita, and they're like, what are you doing? He's playing Taco Master. And I'm looking at it thinking, should I get Taco? He obviously can't put it down. It's obviously a shitty indie game that has grabbed him in. It's probably great. You're making tacos to order.
I'd be making one, but I'm hungry. I want tacos.
I make so many tacos.
The UK needs more Mexican takeaway joints.
Taco Bell,
or a Taco Bell.
Like Taco Bell is amazing. I went to a restaurant a few weeks ago and I had tacos as like a starter, and it was just crap.
Isn't it just a McDonald's, the Mexican McDonald's?
Yeah.
Taco Bell.
Okay, so let me just, before we move on to the last topic, let me get a quick out of 10 Fallout for.
Very sorry, I didn't put my phone back on silent.
Guess.
We're starting the podcast again.
A very, very quick out of 10 for everyone for Fallout 4. I just want to see how much this dances around and stuff, and just to show how terrible review scores are.
I'd quite happily sit at like a 7.5.
7.5. It's a good score. And let's go with up until 7, it's whole numbers, and then up until 9, it's and a halves.
Okay.
And then you can go play.
Make up rules for the guest.
1.1.
I'm gonna go with. It might surprise you. I'm gonna go for 1 million. I love the game. I wasn't as hooked on it as I was playing Witcher or Pillars of Eternity, but I'd give it an 8 to 8.5. But because I think I knew what I was expecting from the game, I knew what I wanted. I think the only reason I'm not giving it high, it's nothing to do with graphics, it's because it took so long to get started. I think I can't remember who I spoke to about it, but at about 20 hours in, I was like, nothing's happened yet. I only have 4 quests active in my list. I'm used to a Bethesda game. I play it for 2 hours and I'm like, I have 40 quests, where do I go, what do I do? And in the end I went, I'm just going to go to the main city and see if it picks up, and it did. I think if it had started earlier, I'd probably give it a 9.
Okay. I'm going to Sam in a minute.
Matt's going to give it a 10, so Sam.
Don't do 10s.
Don't do 10s. I'm
Such Mario Kart.
underwhelmed with it, to be honest. But I think I've gone into it with the wrong mindset. I've gone into it as a noob, got everything wrong, had to start over, been demotivated. I think I need a motivation boost to try and get past where I've already done, which is why I'm so demotivated with it. but like I'd probably give it like a 4 or a 5 at the moment. Like I just I played Assassin's Creed for like 2 hours yesterday. Got it brand new. Played it for 2 hours, and I'm fucking hooked. Like I'm just loving it, man. It's the Assassin's Creed that I love with improved fighting mechanics.
Assassin's
For
Creed.
the record, I finished Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and the fight mechanics are awful. It takes 3 hours to kill one person because you're hitting them with a stick.
Batman came along and went, Assassin's Creed, we're going to do what you're doing, but better.
Yeah.
And Assassin's Creed since then has just not competed with the Arkham franchise's combat system.
Like the free running's still great, and it's set in London, man. Like
I did like that.
Like it's just relatable. Like there's a lot of history. There's the landmarks that you know and have been to.
It's a
you are
better
playing.
living world than Grand Theft Auto is as well. The stuff that's going on around you, I think.
Yeah, it's all a very living world of a place that you've been a couple hundred years in the future from this game. So I enjoyed it a lot. Why am I reviewing Assassin's Creed now? But I'm just saying, I played Fallout for 8 to 10 hours. Like, and I was still pushing myself to try and get hooked on it. Assassin's Creed I played for 2 hours and loved it. So it's just not for me. I don't think.
Sam.
That's a dirty one.
Well, I really like the franchise as Fallout games go. I wasn't a noob to the franchise when I came into it, so like Anne said, I knew what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting mind-blowing graphics. I knew it was the same engine. So I got what I was expecting. The only downside for me was the bugs.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really like the game. There's a few things I'd probably change. I want to be able to call my dog a name, because dog meat's the shittest name ever for a dog.
You didn't even get to choose it. Somebody else chose it.
Somebody else.
Dog meat. What?
Exactly. Is it? Who's this guy?
If the robot can say 2,000 different names, then the dog should be able to have more than one name.
Yeah. So, you know, I'd like to be able to call my dog something. VATS. I want to not be able to use VATS all the time. That was my biggest gripe with Fallout 3 as well.
So you want to be able to shoot.
I want to be able to shoot stuff.
I think
normally.
Fallout 3 had to use VATS because the first person shooting was unusable.
It is now.
New Vegas improved
now.
on it.
It's still shit.
New Vegas, I didn't use the VATS as much, and I found Fallout 4 again increased it slightly, but Fallout 3 is VATS.
You
I
can't.
barely used it in this one.
But you've barely used VATS.
Barely used VATS.
I have to use VATS to shoot anything.
I only use VATS to shoot very fast moving natural targets. So if it's a blowfly,
Yeah.
I'm not going to stand there, I'm just going to VATS because...
I tend to use it with the sniper rifle. Just because it really just takes any of that, the chance away. Do you know?
See, I'll be the opposite. Like I use VATS for like all my smaller weapons and like closer quarter combat,
Yeah.
and then my sniper rifle I'll just sit
See,
there
that's what
ready
I'd
to
like
go.
to do.
I have a real bad scope.
Saying that though, I mean,
It's his hand, he's just going to...
I see you.
I've not got any weapons that are really long distance, so I'm all close quarters. Really, I mean, I think the longest distance is it the laser rifle that you nick off that guy at the start. I've got that.
That's really short distance if you want to use it to any use.
Yeah, I mean, everything I've got is short distance. Even the chain gun on the thing. I mean, obviously that's inaccurate anyway.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah,
I use a katana for most
yeah,
stuff.
I just don't want to have to use VATS to shoot anything.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Melee's pretty good. Too.
Man, that's great.
it's just not my cup of tea. Like I quite like to aim. Ironically, considering I'm not a first-person shooter fan. What was the other thing I'd change? Yes, the saves. That's the other thing I'd change.
Make them reliable.
Yeah, make them reliable. Just that really annoyed me about the game. I don't know how you can bring out a game and have so many people's save get corrupt constantly. It's happened twice to me. I've played the start of the game now. It will be 3 times coming up when I play again. But I'm like Matt's about them. I'm demotivated to play it because if it happens again, then game's going out the window.
Yeah.
Like,
Out of 10?
if the saves worked, 7. If, as it stands now, the save doesn't work, if it continues to play up, then it'll be a 5.
Okay.
I don't know how you can not bring out a polished
I
game.
thought it'd be a lot worse, really. I'd probably say 2 or 3 if you
Yeah.
weren't able to play the game.
The thing is, everything I've done so
0.
far, I've really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I mean, the storyline's good, the character creation's good, the graphics to me are good.
Yeah.
everything just seems right with the game, just not technically right with the saves, and there's a few things I've changed, like you said, with the VATs and...
I'd give it a 7 for the character creation. I think whatever engine they've used for that is insane.
It is great.
Like, there's some next level shit with their character creation.
As a challenge, like one of the days, just make yourself a character and aim to make yourself the ugliest, most weird character. I did this on Mass Effect 1, and me and my
He's trying to make himself.
We had. It's not that good an engine. We set ourselves, because you're called Shepard in Mass Effect, and we made our first name something like I'm a shit, so his name was I'm a shit Shepard. It was stupid. And this character would just look like an alien. His head was shaped like an hourglass. His eyes come out the sides, and it was. We couldn't take the game seriously. Just see how far you can push it. I haven't done it myself yet. But
I did want to try and make an Arnold Schwarzenegger looking character on Fallout 4. I'll have to try and do it one of the times.
My score for Fallout is probably 7.5. I think it's a very, very good game. I think 7.5 is worthy of that. The bugs don't bother me. Because if you try and make a game that's as big as Fallout is, with as much stuff as going on as Fallout, if they could release that with 0 bugs, then they can charge as much as they want for it. And that's incredible. Because there's going to be things that go wrong with it. If the saves don't work, that's a separate matter entirely. That's nothing to do with the game world, I'm sure. That's about writing a save state. Yeah. You can do that with emulators. You can click file and save and it'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You can just do that. The graphics are good, in my opinion, as well, for what they've done. Like, people have been panning the graphics, but I've been walking to like a forest and looked around and gone, this game's pretty as hell.
Yeah,
it's good.
Exactly the same. Like even the simple things, so like they're adding the lens flares and the dynamic lighting. Like I played that game and I was like, these graphics are good. Like I don't understand. It's just people playing it and going, this doesn't look like Crysis. Like, what were you expecting?
Yeah.
The tutorials are bad. So if you don't know what you're doing, if you're new to Fallout. Exactly.
I think they've always been bad though.
There's a
Fallout
lot
3 was tough.
About building the settlement. It didn't explain that.
Yes, actually, good point on that. Because I remember I had to ask you guys, like, how do I do this?
My main problem, perks.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I can remember getting Fallout 3 and having to phone a friend who'd recommended me the game to come round to my house and teach me how everything
The perks,
works.
yeah.
What's this inventory system? What do I do when I sell this stuff? What are these bottle caps for? What's this? I had to get someone to just sit there and show me everything.
To be fair, the perk system, I was in the same boat as you, and I played Fallout 3. It was a completely different system, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you got the stars at the top in each section.
Yeah.
I thought you'd had to fill them up to unlock the first perk.
That's what I did. So I'd tried to fill up everything.
Yeah.
I was like level 12 or whatever.
Like, he was the most agile person in the world.
Yeah. I had fucking full agility. Like everything along the top was just full.
And you will know better than you were before.
And I was just terrible.
Yeah.
So I was like, am I doing this wrong? Sent these guys a picture and they were just like, lol.
Start attacking your butt.
I'd realised before that.
I think a good tutorial system would make it an 8.
Yeah.
Maybe better, but 7.5 for me. But it's the meta. I said the thing you score, the critic score is up above 80 something, and the user score's down at 50, and we're all kind of settling in that 7
in the 7 area,
7s
in the middle.
So we're actually smack bang in the middle. So maybe the future of Metacritic is what are the critics doing, what are the users doing, and let's just find a point in the middle and
that will be the game.
That is the true average.
I think there's a lot of users that will complain about everything. I mean, for me, the saves don't work. That's monumentally game ending. I mean, but I can still appreciate the game for what it was before the saves. And I mean, I know not everyone's having the save issue. It's just specifically to do with me for whatever reason.
Use old Mario tactics and never turn your PC.
Never turn my PC off, or see if I can blow on the disk drive or something.